Hello, I'm Scott Soshnick.
And I'm Jacob Feldman, and this is the Where in the World is Abby Novi Williams Today Sports Business Podcast, the Sporticast.
Yeah, where is Waldo Williams? Well, Waldo Novi Williams. I can answer the question. Well, actually, I know where he was. I know where he was intending to go.
Ooh.
I have not heard to see if he is actually there. So
last I heard, he was in southern France. Is that no longer? Is he moved since then?
No. That's the ultimate destination.
Oh, he's not there yet.
He is not there yet. Novi was in Vancouver, as you know. Right. That's why you were filling in last time. He was in Vancouver doing his whatever he does. Like burying stuff with hot coals and burning stuff into wood tree trunks. Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately, I've got some other travel, so I was unable to represent Sportico at Cannes Lions, which is the brand and advertising summit in Cannes. So we had to send Mr. Novi from, I believe his itinerary, if I have it right, I believe it's from Vancouver to Amsterdam. Last I spoke with him, he was in the airport at Amsterdam. Had a few hours to kill.
Most dangerous place to kill a few hours. But okay.
I was going to say, I hope he stays in the airport. These brownies look good. Right. So from Amsterdam, I believe he is flying a short flight, hour and a half to Nice. Then he's boarding the train from Nice to Cannes. But I've been seeing people tweet, by the way, I think this morning alone, Jessica Berman, Maria Sharapova, the Rabel brothers have been tweeting. Yeah, from Sport Beach, and that's what sort of what our area is called. I believe Axios is there as well. The Athletic is there. And it's just a spot for sort of this sports business media to get together with these brand leaders and athletes. Everybody wants in on sports, and so Novi will be representing us. I know he has a panel discussion. I'm not really sure. I know Rabel's on there. Paul and Michael are on that panel. But, hey, what the heck? Why not send Waldo out there and get him a few frequent flyer miles, right?
If you're listening to this podcast on Sport Beach, send us a photo on Twitter or something. We'd love to see.
That's a good point. We should tell everybody to kind of tag us, and if you're on Sport Beach, send us a photo. I hadn't thought of that, but they better. I know they're listening. I know they listen to the show. So let's just say we can say nice things about the Rabels and Jessica Berman and see what they come back with. But let's hope Novi arrives just fine. We should have made him call in, by the way. I mean, so what if you're traveling for like 24 straight hours? We should have made him do a little extra work.
Yeah, film a little travel show or something. So not to change topics too abruptly, but I literally just saw a text pop up my phone with a link to a tweet from Kurt, which is always a good sign. And
Kurt Bodenhausen, yep.
And a message that says, "That's a crazy deal." So what is Kurt tweeting about today, Scott? Let's jump right into it.
I don't know who he talked to, but I know there's sources out there have talked to Mr. Bodenhausen. Mr. Lionel Messi, the deal to bring him to Inter Miami and MLS is very close. But nobody has heard details until now, and I believe Mr. Bodenhausen is telling us. This is what we know. Ready? Here's your broad outline of what we know at the moment.
We need a little breaking news chyron here, but go ahead.
Yeah, I did you see my my homage to Kevin Weeks the other day when we broke the owner of the Ottawa Senators? I did the walking in the street, breaking news, news. Well, here we go from Kurt Bodenhausen. 2.5 years. What he has told us as an option for 26. I don't know if that's a player option or a team option or both. $50 to $60 million is the annual value, but this is important, from salary, signing bonus, and equity in the club. And that's hard to peg, though, because I would guess, and I think you would too, Mr. Feldman, that the value of Inter Miami next week is a whole lot different. The value of Inter Miami than 2 weeks ago. So
absolutely,
that's that, right? Okay.
Yeah. There's some bankers who are staying busy trying to figure out that right now. I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Maybe we should have some fun and we'll make Kurt value all the clubs again, but we'll start
day by day, like the Miami value on Monday, on Tuesday.
Exactly.
Daily valuations from Kurt. Yeah.
As soon when he signs the contract, the minute he signs the deal, we see this spike. Right.
Yeah.
There's no MLS subsidy in this deal, so this is not being aided by the parent organization. This is Jorge Mas and David Beckham's club. They are the ones making this happen. And this is the most significant part that I find absolutely fascinating, and that could change the paradigm moving forward, that any monies brought in from Apple, or I think in this, because we're talking soccer, and I said Lionel, not just Leo, I think I'm going to call it Adidas instead of Adidas.
Okay.
Any monies brought in from Apple and Adidas are on top of the 50 to 60 million. So we all know that Apple spent big to put MLS on its platform, right? It's $250 million. And this will be based on how many subscriptions come in to see Leo, how many jerseys
like especially
are
international
sold.
Subscriptions, especially, is what people are talking about.
That's the beauty of the flat platform, right? And and this I go to you anyway, because the soccer broadcast was so fractured. Like if it's really hard to figure, even for a diehard fan to figure out where the games are. Forget about someone like me that is a casual fan. Jacob, help me out. What does it mean from a viewer's perspective, and therefore the ability to monetize when it's so simple for fans to find the games?
Well, exactly. Yes, I wrote a little bit about this last week, but I'm a Tottenham fan, so we can go a week and they'll play on NBC, they'll play on Peacock, they'll play on USA, they'll play on Paramount Plus, and they'll play on ESPN Plus in a single week. And I'm probably skipping a couple other platforms around too. This is going to be so much easier for international fans now trying to watch MLS action, because it is going to be all on Apple. I'm still a little bit unclear exactly how they're going to manage the subscription offering when it comes to price points in different markets where the economies are different and the expectations are different. But broadly, the marketing will be fairly simple from an international perspective. If you want Messi, go here, and like you're saying, then you can very clearly track. And again, maybe there's some bankers working on this too, but here's how many international subscribers we expected. Here's how many we got. Okay, Messi is probably responsible for, call it half or more of those additional subscriptions, and all of a sudden, boom, if he's getting 10% or whatever he's getting out of that, you've got your deal. And what's interesting to me, this is going to, we live in sports world, we live on Sport Beach a lot of the times. This deal, I think, is going to have an impact beyond sports even, because what if you're trying to get Matt Damon to have an Apple TV movie? All of a sudden he's going to say, okay, but I want a cut of subscriptions too. So that, I think, is one of the reasons this deal has not been put to paper yet, and something I'm really interested to see how long that takes. We all know Apple can take a long time with negotiations. They've gotten that reputation now. We saw how long the Sunday ticket thing dragged on before they eventually dropped out of that. And so they are very particular about, because there is a massive precedent being set here beyond sports. And so we're very interested to see those details, Kurt, if he can dig those up for us as well. Maybe by lunchtime tomorrow, that'd be fantastic.
I'm also interested in the fact that you don't have a mic flag. Why have we not sent you a mic flag yet? You look like
I think I need three. I think it's the third appearance, and then I can trade up. Yeah,
you look like one of those giant BBC EPL spit guard thing. Right there. You just the yellow. You need your own mic flag. Though we're going to get you one of those. And when you think about back to David Beckham, his deal when he joined was that he would have the option to purchase a team for $25 million. And if you looked at the trajectory of the growth of the league, excellent deal for Beckham.
But it was a bet on the league to some degree, because I think at that point, like you're saying, the valuations were like in the 10 million range, and all of a sudden he joins, and then boom, you're right, now they're 5 to 50x times that.
And Ronaldo went to Saudi Arabia, took the guarantee money. Karim Benzema, the same thing. Messi was offered what did we hear? $400 million. A year to go, but he comes to MLS, and again, it's not as if he's a pauper as is. We get that, but still, he's making a bet on the growth of American soccer, of the audience for American soccer, at a time when you will have a World Cup coming to U.S. soil. And you kind of know what that does. That is absolutely a catalyst. That is absolutely a locomotive for interest in U.S. soccer. And the women's team, people pay attention. We see the crowds at the NWSL games right now. So there's interest in soccer. And I love that we've heard for a long time, it's been ever, the kids, there's so many kids play, and soccer's the sport of the future. I mean, that's what the critics will say. But you can't dump on the data, right? The data shows people are going, people are watching. The investment is being made. So also, once again, a calculated risk on the future of U.S. soccer's global audience. Not just people here who are like, this thing, I only want to watch the EPL. Or, there's a lot of people from a lot of places watching soccer. And can this start sort of the ball down or the snowball down the hill where other name brand players, not necessarily past their prime, come and play in MLS?
Yeah, that's going to be the big question. Even before the World Cup, Copa America is going to be hosted in the U.S. next year. Argentina will be playing theoretically in that. Messi will be playing for them
I
theoretically.
saw Messi miss a penalty in the Copa final.
Yeah, right, exactly. So now you can watch that probably in Jerry World or something next year. But yeah, it's gonna be really interesting. The other thing I'm tracking as we head towards, I think July 5th is when the summer transfer window opens. That's when he
that is the MLS transfer window is the 5th. Yeah, we're hearing around July. I think there's a game July 7th.
Yeah,
I believe that'll be his first game, July 7th.
Possibly, yeah. And the All-Star game is July 19th in D.C. Another factor here, Messi has a history with taxes and tax regulators. I'm curious to hear. I would love to be a fly on the wall when he gets explained the jock tax. When he shows up in D.C. for 3 days, all of a sudden they're going to take $50,000 from him. That'll be a fun conversation. But the deadline, July 5th, is also a huge deadline for Adidas, for these shirt makers. There's already stories coming out. When Messi signed with PSG, the shirts sold out, and this is a global club. They've got Neymar. They've had big names before. Shirts sold out in 30 minutes. So Inter Miami, all of a sudden, I don't know if you saw the stories. This is probably a few weeks ago. If you remember with the Barbie movie, the hype around the Barbie movie?
Yeah, yes.
There was stories that the Barbie movie used so much pink paint, there was a global shortage. So I think we may see the same thing with Miami here, because pink is a big factor there, and there are already stories about how quickly they're going to sell it, how quickly they're trying to ramp up production, and I think that's just a perfect microcosm for everything the MLS is going to try to do to take advantage of this moment when it comes in a month.
Come on, Michael Rubin must be salivating at the chance. You're going to challenge my supply chain and my vertical integration, I'm sure that you can get those suckers cranking. You do not want to get caught flat-footed where the demand outpaces what you can.
But even at the World Cup, Argentina's shirt sold out. I think it's impossible to keep up with it, which is fascinating. I mean, this is not something. It's not like tickets. It's it's theoretically limitless, but all of a sudden,
it's not a finite number. Yeah,
right. You don't hear about LeBron jerseys selling out. There's all these other popular players, but Messi jerseys every time sell out. So we'll see how many they're able to make in the next few weeks.
All right, well, let's see if we can get on top of that story. But we're talking about the valuation of the club and how fast it changes once he signs. And if you're looking at global iconic athletes, I think you have to start with Michael Jordan, right? Sure. Michael decided to go. Yeah, he went from the player side to the ownership side of the table. And guess what? He's decided he's had enough, and Michael is selling his majority control of the Charlotte team in the NBA at a valuation of $3 billion with a B dollars. He bought the stake for $275 million in 2010, and I'm not that great at math, but if you'd like to take a stab at sort of your percentage growth right there, go for it.
Oh man, what is that? So it's more than 10x. It's like 15x. So it's like 1,500% or something. I don't know. Is that right? Am I close?
You went to Harvard. What do I know? I'm just a Syracuse guy. I've
had a calculator in my pocket my whole life. Don't look at me for the mental math. But yeah, it's stunning, and that's not the only stunning sale number of the week, right?
No, not the only. You want to go and tell people about the Tampa Bay Lightning? You want me to do it? I mean,
all you.
All right. Well, the Lightning are selling a stake to Arctos Sports Partners, and our friends at Arctos. Valuation on that is $1.4 billion, and you have to know how these transactions work. There's LP discounts and there's things they can do for sexy headlines. I don't think Arctos is paying that much, but the valuation on the club is $1.4 billion, and that comes on the heels of an almost $1 billion sale of the Ottawa Senators, right? And by the way, that doesn't even include what Michael Andlauer, the new owner, is going to have to do, an investor in the Montreal Canadiens, to get himself a new arena. I mean, that's probably where the valuation bump comes from, that there is a real estate opportunity here. Well, as we've said a million times on this show, prospective owners don't want turnkey. It's amazing. Some people, want to buy a house, they want turnkey. They don't want to do a thing. They just want to hang up the coat and they're in. Some people want a project. And I always make the analogy to real estate that in this, it's a project. You either want a media play or you want a real estate play, much like the Commanders. You can get a new stadium, and if you do it right, and I'm going to say some dirty words here, if you can get public money, look at what the Oakland A's are looking to get.
Right.
What was it, $850 million the Raiders got from the state of Nevada, $750 million. The Buffalo Bills set a record
Titans,
for public money. Titans. Yeah, so some places can, some places can't. So you see if you can get some public money in it. But with the media contracts, I mean, and let's just look at Jordan. I would assume that a guesstimate as to the new media deals is baked into this number, obviously.
Yes.
So, but is it 2x? Is it 3x at a time when the streaming services are really looking to get involved? When can ESPN afford not to have the NBA and all the shoulder programming and the number of hours it takes up across all the platforms on the debate shows? Can ESPN do without the NBA? I don't think so. So are we 2x? Are we 3x? The last time, I think I said this on the last show, that Ted Leonsis last time was said during the last new deal, there's no better time to be an NBA owner. Put the microphone in front of Ted this time, he's going to say there's no better time to be an NBA owner, and it might be true when however long this new deal is. When that one expires, you may be able to say the same darn thing.
Yeah, I've got 2 questions on the Hornets thing, which I think is really interesting. And I'll start with the small one, the Charlotte-specific one first, which is the NBA draft is Thursday. The Hornets have the number 2 pick, and I'm curious if they had gotten the number 1 pick. I'm sure someone has done the math internally because of the timing of this transaction. If they had gotten the rights to Victor Wembanyama, I mean, that's got to be a $100 million asset, you would think, right? Given the global opportunity, given the media opportunity locally. So I'm curious about that and the timing of all that. But my bigger question is the Hornets, like you said, valued at $3 billion. So this is the 7th highest valuation at the time of sale that we've had. And 6 of those have come either last year or this year, so in the last 18 months. Do you think this trend of sales is going to continue? Is the market going to continue to be this hot, this active, or is this some sort of post-COVID kind of condensing of deals, or just a specific moment where everyone's seeking an opportunity, or do you expect to see a handful of these deals each year for the next few years?
Well, let's break them down to the ones that have happened and the reasons why, right? So,
right, well, it's specific reasons, of course.
Dan Snyder would not have sold the Commanders without sort of all the brouhaha. So that would not have happened. Eugene Melnick passed away. The Senators would not have traded had that not happened. But we have to expect things like these are going to happen because they're happening with more frequency. A lot of owners are getting older. What you'll see is, I don't know if it's an acceleration, but you will see the continuation, a rapid continuation, if that makes sense, of the limited partnerships trading. And those are getting more valuable as well. You have your passive partners like your Arctoses and your Dials. And Dial, by the way, is part of the Hornets transaction. So you have your passive partners, but you will also have some limited partners that come in and get board seats and have an active say in how things are managed. So I would, and by the way, if I put you may be a little too young to remember Johnny Carson. Did you ever watch Johnny Carson? You know Kreskin?
Yeah,
you don't know the Kreskin
Carson
reference?
Did not know Kreskin.
Johnny Carson would put the thing on it. He'd wear like the whole get up, and he'd put the paper to his head as if it's going to come to me. It's coming to me as I am doing now. And if I can be my Kreskin moment, I would say we are not far off from sovereign wealth hitting pro sports. You're not far off from college endowments. I can't wait to see where Harvard is going to put its money to work first. I would hope it'd be one of the Boston clubs. I mean, that'd be great. Harvard takes a stake in Fenway Sports Group. Come on, it's got to happen. It just makes too much sense, right? So I don't think that's slowing down. The question is in number, right? Now we're talking about valuation. What's going to happen with valuations? And I've asked a bunch of owners, like, what scares you? I got pandemic. Nobody saw that. Nobody had that on the bingo card. Media does not look as if it's slowing down. The top tier sports properties, and that's what we're talking about here, the money is going to be available. It's just must have programming for so many reasons. So I don't see that slowing down. I don't see it slowing down at all. I think, in fact,
it's great
we're just going to see more examples.
This volume is great for us, obviously, covering it, because you get to see kind of month by month, year by year, the valuations fluctuate in a way when there's only one NFL deal every 5 years. It makes it much harder. Constant
resets for Kurt Badenhausen. And last time, not the last time I saw Gary Bettman, but the time before that, let's say Gary wasn't thrilled with the valuations that we put out on the NHL. He's like, you have no methodology. I'm like, yes, we do, Gary. Actually, we publish them. But we cannot factor in for sort of just what somebody wants to pay for something if they really want it.
Right.
Heart, it's heart over head. We can't factor that in. It's impossible. But what we do, Gary, will not artificially inflate just for the scarcity. We try to factor that in as best we can. But we have seen, again, Ottawa, real estate. Commanders, real estate. What we will now do, when I say we, I mean Kurt, he has to do all the work, is this will inflate every valuation across the NHL. So it's going to start from a higher point. But it's not like we do willy-nilly. Kurt does the work. He looks at the revenue. He really talks to as many people as he can around the league to get as close to what a sensible valuation would look like, and then somebody comes in and blows it out of the water. Okay. And that could be the Phoenix Suns and Matt Ishbia, because he's been on a bunch of teams and he didn't get it, and he really, really wanted this when he had an opportunity to get control at a $4 billion valuation or whatever it was, so he did it. He said, okay, it's worth it to me. I never would have thought Josh Harris would have gone to $6 billion, but Josh is a Chevy Chase, Maryland, guy, grew up there, and he sees an opportunity. You don't get a chance to get an NFL team in your hometown every minute of every day. This was his chance to get the team. So if I'm guessing, Josh figures he overpays. Does he think is he comfortable with the number he paid? I don't know. I mean, I've seen Josh bid on other things like the New York Mets.
Guessing he is. Yes.
Yeah. But this was the question that I keep asking other people when we bring up Josh and how much he paid. Is this a short-term hold for Josh Harris? No, it is not. Is Josh going to keep this thing in his family for the next, and I'm going to make up a number, for 20 years? Let's say Josh holds it for 20 years, right? Okay. Does anybody think 20 years from now, I'm going to have to dig up this episode, that Josh Harris is going to look back and say, oh, man, that was a terrible investment. The Washington Commanders were a terrible investment at $6 billion when I'm sitting here, I don't know, he'll sell it in 20 years for 14. I'm totally making it up. My point is that if you're going to hold it, and more than that, if you're going to enjoy it, like, I don't know how many owners actually enjoy the investment, because if you own an EPL team, you're in it every week. You lose 3 points that you should have gotten. Yeah, it's stressful. There's anxiety. Yeah. I really don't know. If you're not enjoying it, get the heck out. Take the money and get the heck out. And I don't know how much Michael Jordan was enjoying it. I don't know if that's why he was selling it, or he's got other things he wants to do, or he saw, you know what, $3 billion, I got to take it. Like, it's just it's just an opportunity. Fine. Yeah. But we should know, by the way, and stressful all around in the core businesses, and it's being sold. Charlotte's being sold to Gabe Plotkin, who was Melvin Capital. He's the founder of Melvin Capital.
Fantastic story.
Does Melvin Capital ring familiar to you?
For me, yes. If people were eagle-eyed followers of the GameStop saga,
there you go. Anybody want to talk about a meme stock? You want to tell everybody what happened to Melvin Capital and GameStop?
Oh man! Well, now we're digging into the deep recesses of my, early 21 brain. But basically, he bet short on GameStop.
He shorted GameStop. There you go.
A bunch of Redditors made him pay for it, big, right? And I don't remember if the fund disappeared
multi-billion dollars.
Yeah, losses.
The losses on that, right? Citadel and .72, and if .72 sounds familiar, that's Steve Cohen of the New York Mets, infused many billions of dollars. And eventually Plotkin said, you know what, I'm winding down. I'm going to give the money back. And I'm done. It didn't work out. Right. So you want to talk stressful. You're seeing billions of dollars disappear as sort of.
Maybe I'll just own a basketball team and hang out. Yeah.
Exactly. I would think that a pro sports team at this point would be just as comfortable as a certificate of deposit. That I don't know if I'm going to go up 10, 15, 20, whatever it is. But I am comfortable. I would say in the NFL, certainly you're comfortable of positive cash flow and long-term asset appreciation. In the NBA, if done right, you could make the argument there are a couple that maybe lose some money. You can lose some money, but I would be pretty darn comfortable with an NBA team, NFL team that I'm going to be able to generate an annual profit as well as bask in the glow of long-term appreciation.
Yeah, and we're seeing a split now between the folks who are going that route versus the folks who are looking for the big returns and looking at niche sports, whether it's pickleball or women's sports or things that are growing much more rapidly and riskier, and there is a divide there these days.
I mean, the talk used to be, remember not so long ago, it was like, what would you buy if you wanted to get in, if you had, but it's just, this is about price point for entry now. It's the point of entry. Your point of entry on an NFL team, you're rarefied air here. Josh Harris and Mitch Rales had to get a little creative here, and still the NFL wasn't comfortable with all the financing, and they'll work through it, and it'll be fine, and they'll close that deal. It used to be, all right, maybe you ought to go get an NHL team. Now I've got the Ottawa Senators at $1 billion. So you say, all right, now I'm going to go for maybe, it was an MLS team. Now I'm going to have Inter Miami valued at who knows what, pulling everybody else up. So, now you look, is it, PLL is changing its structure a little bit. They're going to city teams instead of, or at least in part, instead of just that central touring model. Wouldn't surprise me if in the not too distant future you'll be the ability to buy an individual team there. What will the price point be for NWSL? We see expansion fees, $50+ million there. This is not, small shekels here. It's okay. What's next? Where's the investment? Where can I get in? I want to be involved in sports, but I just can't do it at the top tier.
Right. We got a couple minutes left here. Can I get something off my chest and ask you a question?
Do I have to? I mean, is it something I'm going to know? I mean, this is not something Novi Williams does regularly.
No, it's not going to be. No, not a trivia. I'm asking your opinion. It's not a not a factual trivia
opinion
question.
I can give you. Go ahead.
Okay, good. So, U.S. Open wrapped up this weekend. Wyndham Clark won, a name few people knew. We've got plenty written about him on the site. Rory McIlroy came in second. Not his first time being in second. Hasn't won a major, I think, in 9 years or something along those lines.
Rory McIlroy hasn't won a major in 9 years? Is that true?
I could be wrong. But
I don't know. I don't follow golf that closely. I mean, the money of golf, yes. Who wins and loses, I'm not sure.
Point being, he hasn't gotten there in a little while. And the story afterwards, I mean, they ask him coming off the course. They're asking him about some of his missed putts. He had one bad approach shot that they asked him, just what the miss was. Some of the analysts were breaking down his mistakes, but me watching that, and you tell me, maybe this is just me being a millennial and trophy culture and all that. The guy finished second in the U.S. Open. He beat hundreds of people. He won, I'm assuming, more than $1 million. Is it wrong for me? I mean, I think F1 does it so different. Like, does golf need a podium? Do they need some way to celebrate second and third? Second is not losing in a golf tournament, in my opinion. Is that wrong?
It's not winning. No, you're right, and I will bring it to you. I've thought this, but in a different frame of reference. I have always thought this, and why I'm not so sure, but I always thought this about Anna Kournikova way back in the day, because the knock against Kournikova was she never won a Grand Slam, right? She was, I think, at her best was what, number 7 in the world, 8 in the world, whatever it was, whatever. She was a highly ranked, competitive tennis player,
right?
That's a success. How do you knock being one of the 10 best at anything in the world? Sorry she didn't win Wimbledon or the U.S. Open. No, I get it. But the career, I would say, becoming or climbing to number 2, even 2 if you never won, 2, 3, 4, 5, through 15, 20, 25. I don't know I don't even think there is a cutoff. Sure. If you are making a living as one of the top players in the world, you have done a damn good job. That is an accomplishment to be celebrated, which makes and then you look at Djokovic and Nadal and Venus and Serena. It even makes their accomplishment that much more remarkable. It's not to take away from what they have accomplished. It's unbelievable. But that does not mean to discount what the other players who did not win the majors. They are still among the top in their craft in the world, and that should be celebrated. So with that, I agree with you.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that. Fantastic. We can end on that point of agreement then.
All right, I guess I'll do the close right. He is Jacob Feldman on the Twitter. Jacob Feldman 4. I am Scott Soshnick on the Twitter at Soshnick. Our producer is Keith Zanardi. Thank you very much, Keith, for working on the holiday. We do appreciate the effort. The digital media editor is Cora Veltman. She loves it when I remind you that the show can be found at Sporticast, which is the hub of the Sportico Media Network.